Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I would like to pose a question for you. Are you perfect? I know, it's a loaded question. We could probably debate an answer to that for hours and hours and hours and hours. I would like you to not think of your body in yoga as perfect or not perfect. I would like you to start thinking about your body in your practice as balanced, unbalanced, and what you can do to bring it more balanced. Yes? Now, some of you may already be doing this in your practice, but in case you have not thought about this, this is another layer that you can add into your practice. We've been talking different modifications up to now, and I'm hoping that you're working on the different ones that you can work your body to your best ability on any particular given day. But I'd like you to start maybe thinking about centering your body. And many times people kind of wonder, well, what's the center of our body? For today's purposes, we're going to talk about it in an anatomical way, kind of bone structure. We're not going to get too fancy schmancy and too medical, but I want you to think of your body looking at it straight on. And we're going to use my little stick man to help you. I know my artistic abilities. I hope he looks like a stick man. When you look at your body in the mirror, you can see that you're hopefully vertical when you're standing there. During your yoga practice, I want you to start thinking with that internal, that mind's eye, because many times you're not looking in front of a mirror in your practice. Maybe you are, but most of us do not use a mirror. The environment that you are in probably doesn't have a mirror. I want you to start thinking about alignment in your body. So the center line that we're talking about here is our spine. Now, many times our spine is not perfectly straight for whatever reason. We might have a medical reason, it doesn't matter what your reason is, but this straight line that we're looking at from the front of our body when we look, we would like to get as close to straight as we possibly can. So all the modifications that you choose and all of the props that you use in your modifications, the goal is to try to get a nice straight line. Now that's one part of our little stick man, yes? And I want to start talking about the shoulders. Our shoulders are here in my little stick man, and they kind of run across here, perpendicular to the spine, yes? When you are in your practice, start thinking or start feeling the imbalance that you have from left to right side. And what we'd like to get is our shoulders straight, perpendicular to our spine. How close to that can you possibly get during your practice, right? Now, our arms, they're going to affect our shoulders, yes? So depending on the modification that you've chosen, you might notice that it affects the tilt of your shoulders doing whatever. If you're doing a particular thing with your arms, you might notice that it shifts your shoulders, yes? So start thinking about that during your practice. Same thing for the hips. We'd like to try to get those hips level. They may not be 100% level. They may not be perpendicular to your spine, but the goal is to try to get them closer to level, closer to perpendicular to the spine. And once again, our little legs here and our feet, when we move them, they are going to shift these hips. you might notice that your imbalance plus the leg and arm movement even creates a bigger shift. Now, many times, if you have come to my classes, I talk about this rectangle of the torso. It goes from shoulders through your waist down to your hips. Now, that is not always going to be level. But in many of our poses, I'll talk about the torso of the body being parallel to the floor or perpendicular to the side of the mat or whatever. So many times I'll talk about that rectangle of the torso, and we would like to try to level that out. So our movements with our props, our movements with our arms, they're going to affect the level of our shoulders, the level of our hips, how they move in relationship to our spine, yes? So start thinking, how can I manipulate my body during my practice to try to even out those imbalances? Because we'd like to try to get closer to parallel hips, parallel shoulders, straight spine. Is this going to happen in one practice? Probably not. But we work on those imbalances that we have, and we try to bring it closer to balanced. Yes? I'm hoping this makes sense to you. Now, try to think in your poses, if I make a little adjustment, will I get closer to evening out my particular imbalance? Now remember, those imbalances, they vary from day to day. Every time you come to your mat, things are going to change. Sometimes I do these videos first thing in the morning when I'm feeling a little fresh, and I get one shape and I use one modification. Sometimes I do these videos later at night after I'm in the garden all day. So I'm going to choose a different modification, and I'm probably going to have a different shape. So constantly choose those modifications that you need and see if you can be aware of how your body is in space when we do our practice. And what can you do to change those imbalances and try to make them a little bit more balanced? Yes? Now, we are going to probably make, I think I am going to make a separate part B video, and we're going to go through some of our poses, and I'm going to start reminding you of your alignment. And maybe you will be a little bit more aware of how you hold your body in space. Are your shoulders perpendicular to your spine? The answer is probably no, but what shift, what move, what modification can you do in your practice to try to make them a little bit more balanced? Same thing goes for your hips. When you're in one of your poses, are your hips level? And many times when I think level, I constantly think of that construction level. You know the ruler that's got the little bubbles in it, and when you tilt it, the kind of like the bubble shifts and moves? I imagine that in my head, and I try to think of my hips in a particular move, and is that bubble kind of leaning into one side or another? And it will lean, but what can I do? What can I change? What shift can I make to try to make it a little bit more balanced? Yes? So again, this is a layer that you can put in your thought process during your practice. And it might help you with your alignment. Now, some people are already too occupied with the different modifications. So don't worry if thinking about this alignment and centering yourself and bringing the modifications in to try to better align yourself. If all of that is a little bit too much and you get totally distracted in your practice, don't worry. Don't try to overload your mind. You still want your practice to be enjoyable, but for those who would like to add that extra little layer, we are going to investigate our alignment to our spine, our shoulders, our hips, and even your head, your neck and your head moving in respect to your spine is going to shift other things as well, because we know that our head is not exactly light. So when you're trying to hold your head in space, does it affect the next body part and the next body part and the next body part? Because we know that it's all connected, and one shift is going to make a ripple effect down your body, and we want to try to control that. We want to be aware of our imbalances and what we can do to try to even out those imbalances so that we can get that better posture so that it's easier for our body to do things, right? Because we're constantly wanting to do things with ease. We don't want our activities to hurt. So if our body is in good alignment, those things are going to be easier for you to do, and you'll be able to do them for a longer period of time, no matter what the activity is. So think about the imbalances that you have in your body and what you might do to shift those imbalances to try to even out left side to right side. Yes? So in our next video, we are going to go through some poses, and we are going to talk about the shoulder alignment, the hip alignment, and maybe you will get a little bit more information to help your practice along. So that is it for today's video, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Please consider subscribing to the channel. It's very easy and free for you to do, and it will help build up this community. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. And if you think that anyone can benefit from these videos, please feel free to share.